by Parliament, saying that both have crossed the Lakshman Rekha. Justice Pardiwala has condemned the attacks on judges, saying that a judgment should be criticized and not the judge. Justice Pardiwala added that judges have to go by what is mandated by law and not by what social and digital media want. Important to know that Justice Pardiwala was part of the bench which recently dismissed BJP spokesperson's, the suspended BJP spokesperson's petition to transfer FIRs with strong remarks. All right, so the Supreme Court judge expressing concern over the digital and social media crossing the Lakshman Rekha and resorting to personalized, agenda-driven attacks on judiciary and the judges. Now, to discuss this afternoon, we are joined by Anuj Agarwal, a legal expert, and Someshwar Singh, a social media expert. Thank you very much for speaking to Mirror Now this afternoon. Anuj Agarwal, to you first. You know, the judge said that the constitutional courts have always graciously accepted informed dissent and constructive criticism, but the threshold always barred personalized, agenda-driven attacks. Do you think the personalized attacks, especially on judges, are a cause of concern?
Yes, it is a cause of concern, and nobody should go beyond the mandate that social media is not for criticizing the judges. Legally speaking, once the judgment has been given, it can be discussed. So, legally speaking, people now can definitely discuss the judgment. But honestly, the comments which were made, they were never part of the judgment. They were part of the observation or the obiter dicta. So, on either side, the restraint should be maintained. Neither the judges should cross the Lakshman Rekha by unnecessary venturing and causing aspersion on a complainant which was uncalled for. Similarly, on the people on social media, they should avoid directly attacking the judges. After all, they are all human beings. So it is always desirable that within the Lakshman Rekha, the judgment can be discussed and its merits and demerits can be brought out, not the individual values. So I think on the either side, the restraint is very much required, but it is not illegal per se.
Someshwar Singh, the judge also spoke of the need to mandatorily regulate digital and social media in the country to preserve the rule of law and our constitution. Do you think the regulation is the way forward?
No, I must tell you, sir, Honorable Supreme Court in the Shreya Singhal case itself.
Mr. Agarwal, I'll come to you. This question was for Someshwar.
Yeah,
Mr. Agarwal, I'll come to you. Someshwar Singh, go ahead.
Yeah, so as we have seen that every technology, since I'm the kid born in the era where technology has grown a lot, so we have seen both sides of the technology since the development part of it,
yes.
Be it phones, be it internet, be it the social media itself. People thought that it might be the digital representation of the society, but that cannot be done until unless we not only regulate, we must, the first step is not to regulate. The first step is to first verify the authenticity of the people that are on social media. Because if you want to digitize, or even the news channels right now can take like social polls and exit polls and everything from social media itself. So if we are not able to verify who are the people actually, and they are not actually taking the accountability of what they are saying by and utilizing freedom of speech as a way to escape social media. So the regulations that are needed to be set are very necessary. And I do agree, because I have also been a user of social media since last 8 to 9 years, more than 9 years, in fact. And I know that once I was the early user of social media, I used to use my freedom of speech to actually say anything that I want. But at least we used to keep our profiles real at that time. Now since the social media started giving payments as well as more and more earning methods to people, there are more fake accounts being created right now. And those, when support, can also be counted as like public support for the people who are posting such tweets or such comments or such derogatory comments against anybody for that matter.
So do you think the regulation is the way forward, or should there be no regulation?
So
self-regulation?
The first thing should be the profile authentication. Everybody who is attaching their profile or saying anything on a social media, such platforms should be verified. And then there should be regulations, not on how we speak, but on the accountability and on the consequences of what we have said or like did something to just in this scenario that the judge was harassed or said derogatory comments on the social media. These kind of things should have consequences later. So people just escape it, and there are many fake accounts. They just escape it by saying many things and supporting these kind of statements. Yeah.
Mr. Agarwal, you spoke about restraint on both sides, but the judges said that judges never speak through their tongues, only their judgments. You know, constructive and critical appraisal of judgments is one thing. Personalized attacks on judges is quite the another. The judge says that attacks attempted at judges for judgments lead to a dangerous scenario where judges would have to pay greater attention to what the media thinks rather than what the law actually mandates. That's a serious concern, isn't it?
They have raised the concern which in their opinion is important. But I think we must also understand that all the judgments of the honorable courts, constitutional courts, are always seen with the name of the judges. So it is the character of the judges also, which is always reflected in their judgments, and which is always a welcome factor when the honorable judges of the constitutional courts are selected. Their track record.
But sir, criticizing judgment is one thing, launching an attack on judge is quite the another.
So I'm coming to that. Since the judges are selected based on their personality, so whenever they will create or give a judgment which is highly subjective, critical, the people will always reflect on their personality. It is not welcome at all to criticize an individual judge for whatever he is doing as part of his duty. But whatever judgment he is giving, it is always subject to criticism or discussion, especially after the judgment has been delivered. So you cannot really take the judgment apart from the judge. The judgment is always reflecting on the personality of the judges because they write the law.
But should the commentary be on the judge, sir? That's the question. The commentary on the judge, that's a dangerous precedent, isn't it? You criticize the judgment, that's fair enough. You are allowed in a democracy to criticize the judgment. To make a commentary on the judge, that's quite different.
So I must tell you through this, Rohit, please understand the constitutional courts has the power to write the law. They are the law unto themselves. This is the power which they have got through the constitution. So whatever they are saying, people are directly affected positively or otherwise. So their character, their utterances are always subject to scrutiny by people because they are getting affected. Yes, I always say it is always desirable to not attack the judge personally on his character, but on the judgment. But since these comments were not part of the judgment, but only part of the obiter, during the discussion, they have made such a comment. They have not written this as part of their judgment because that was not part of the case before them also. So the case was very, very different. It was only whether they want to, the complainant has gone to club the FIRs which are spread across the various...
All right, so you are saying it is desirable not to do that. Is it desirable or should it not be done at all? That's the question. Someshwar saying, some say, you know, to ignore the social media chatter as an occupational hazard. Can it be ignored? That's the question in this day and age because internet is a powerful medium which can be misused.
No, so we have created censor boards for films as well. We have seen entertainment as a source of learning as well. That's why we have created censor boards. So a mass following or a mass audience that sees something that has been presented or has been verified by the censor board will get some kind of learning from it. Similarly, social media has become a part of our lives. We don't need to censor it per se because we are obviously honoring the rights of freedom, and we need some platform where people can talk to each other openly without thinking of what to say or something that they cannot say. But it should not affect other people's lives or maybe mental state or something that has consequences in the real life. Saying things